Hi everyone, let's talk about My Father's Work. I've just finished a full two-player playthrough for this. If you're seeing this, it means that all of the parts of it are up. And yeah, I won't do kind of specific spoilers. I might do some things that might spoil the playthrough, but yeah, generally, there's loads of branching paths though, so don't worry about it. But yeah, I'll try to be vague about specific things that happen. And yeah, watch the playthrough though, that'll give you the best idea of what the game is like, I hope. Anyway, this is just what I think of it after, like, 4 plays, but I want kind of an asterisk on that it takes 3 hours to play this game, so it's an investment, believe me. So I think My Father's Work is, well, kind of to sum up straight off the bat, a beautiful experience that I think is exactly what it wants to be. It is going out to be this, it's this labour of love, it's this bespoke, it was originally Kickstarted and I don't think it's going to retail, you have to order it from Renegade Games. It's got all of the beautiful artwork, dual layer boards, all of the deluxified board gamey things you might expect, but that you can kind of feel from all of that and the stories themselves, not that I've experienced many more than a few branches through the various paths through the game. You can kind of feel the theme and the kind of humour that's infused in it. It's not kind of a wacky, silly game, but there are plenty of moments of kind of sarcastic humour directed at kind of the genre itself. There is a lot of story in this, and the game kind of is, from its description, if you look on Board Game Geek or the original Kickstarter, it's front and centre about that. There is going to be a lot of story involved in this game. There's going to be a lot of reading out of things. There is some narration involved. You can pick one of 2 voices, and there's narration of a few of the story elements. I think kind of one of the scenes per generation is going to be voiced. I wasn't a particular fan of the narrations that are on there, unfortunately, and a lot of it isn't voiced, so we just kind of went and just read it out ourselves, which we're fine with. But yeah, that's one thing to note there. I love how much story is in there, and it is written in, it's doing a kind of a gothic horror, and I won't pretend I have read like Frankenstein or Dracula any time recently, but I really like the kind of strange, old-fashioned, well, gothic horror language that it is written in, but it is, the amount of story and the way it's written can both be hurdles, and I've seen kind of from complaints on Board Game Geek that's from a vocal minority, I'm sure. If that's not what you were expecting or not what you like, that could be a big red flag. In terms of, volume of story, that's something that we really loved about Madara. That's kind of depends if you're invested in the story and the style, I suppose. We were in Madara, so sections where we would have maybe even 30 or 40 minutes of just reading story or listening to the narration of it, we were completely fine with. I wouldn't say it ever went that long in My Father's Work. I'd say maybe 15 minutes? Not even that long at the moment, but yeah, as I say, there's loads of paths and stuff. Maybe I haven't seen like a big long section, but yeah, there can be these big chunks. But I've kind of always, whenever they came up, I was enjoying the text itself, but then kind of anticipating what that was going to mean, what ramifications. Was this calling back to something that we did in an earlier generation? Were we going to get to dig into the wondrous box for something that we hadn't seen before? What branch was this sending us down? Often very different, because, as I said, we haven't really played it that much. If there are several endings to every scenario, and there are 3 scenarios in the game, yeah, there can be, sometimes these choices are signposted as well, that you kind of get a sense that here is a make or break decision that we are making. But it can just be things that, oh, here's some things that are out on the board. You can go and experience them if you want and have some storybook events. Maybe they'll make a difference, maybe they won't. And then, depending on how we played the game, I'd say that it's a really nice marriage of not just, paragraph games that I really love, like even like more recent ones, like say Sleeping Gods, where you're playing a game itself, but then directing yourself to certain locations, making choices, going through the paragraph book. It's all grand, but the kind of the worker placement game you are doing here and the experiment system you are trying to work towards your father's work, the masterwork throughout the game, and improve your journal, make these estate upgrades, build up the things that you can take into future generations. You are not entirely focused. There is a game to be won. The things will change. The game is fluid. It's not going to be entirely straightforward how everything is going to be scored, and new things will crop up. But there is a game around this story. So while these things can come up, you are thinking, I want to go and see the new shiny thing, but I also need to get X, Y, and Z done. So have I got the time to do all of this? Do I think that this is going to make a positive impact on my game? But I have to admit that, especially kind of in this new shiny thing phase that I'm still in, I do lean towards I want to see what the magical thing that's just appeared. I want to do the thing with the storybook token, and sometimes that can be like, oh, at the start of the game, put the thing on whoever gets 3 insanity first. So suddenly it can be a bad thing getting too much insanity, but you're kind of drawn towards, well, maybe I'll do the more dangerous things. I want to see what story thing is unlocked. I want to see what effect this can have. And I think it's that marriage of like, you want to see more story, you want to see how your decisions are going to impact the game, but it's all kind of wrapped around a worker placement game you are playing with its own kind of structures and stuff. And I think it meshes together really well. It is very difficult, and that might be because we aren't experienced enough and we need some more practice and stuff. It's very difficult going towards the masterwork and the harder experiments. You are allowed to bring one thing with you, and it's a really great decision, trying to work out what you're going to do in the current scenario, but what you're going to take through with you to help you to do the more difficult things, because there's a lovely pyramid. You can just do an A experiment. To do a B experiment, you have to have already done an A. To do a C experiment, you need to have done 2 Bs and an A. And to do your masterwork, you have to have done 3 Cs, 2 Bs, and an A. So you can only carry a limited amount forward. So the upgrades that you can get, what you decide to carry through with you, so much can go into that. And it's just a lovely system. Worker placement is always a fantastic tense thing. You can always go to places that have been blocked off by other players as long as you can pay $1 to the supply. So often you have not got $1 to pay to the supply, or you really don't want to, because the upgrade you want that's going to leave you short for the perfect upgrade that you want to set yourself up with, or you need to go to the church to offset your creeper, which is another brilliant system as well, another brilliantly thematic thing as well, that you're doing all of these things that are sending you insane, and you're getting these quirks that you can also kind of shake off for points, kind of short-term goals, things that you want, but if you keep them, then you're going to get maladjustments into the future rounds that are going to give you permanent down. They're all bad. You don't want them. And they're going to affect your whole next generation. But also, you're doing these creepy things, and the townsfolk can only tolerate so much of it. That marker is moving around as well. And as soon as the angry mob's had enough of you, you're not welcome in town anymore until you go back to the church and get your creepy down. It's. I feel like it all works so well. And as I said, it's beautifully produced. And it's going to stand on whether you are up for a lot of that stuff. The other thing about it is a long game, and it doesn't hide that. It says on the outer box, and all of these scenario boxes that come with the game are 180-minute things. And I'd say, like, even in 3 play, our first game was probably a bit longer, but this is a 3-hour game, maybe longer than that. You are playing through 3 full generations, and that is a lovely thematic thing as well, that you are playing through these things, and then you can only save some things, save estate upgrades, and just a bit of knowledge to give to your future generation, and then story-wise you are playing as a thing, so you start off as siblings and then your cousins and stuff, and it's a lovely web of stuff. I really like that about it. But in these 9 rounds of worker placement, maybe with 4 players that gets really long as well. I'm not really sure. But in playing these 3 generations with 3 rounds each, it doesn't sound like a lot, but as you are kind of interrupted by story and extra things, which are fantastic, it mounts up, and it is going to be a long game. So it is, you can save it as well. I'll say that we did save it, and coming into the 3rd generation kind of the next day, I wish we'd had the time for it in the first day, because it wasn't as kind of, you got all of this stuff in your head of the path that you're trying to take, the path to your masterwork, that is often a real tightrope to try and get to it. And usually don't manage achieving it because I've probably gone to too many events in the storybook on the way there. Oh, of course, there are a couple of things I forgot to say, so this will be awkwardly jammed in. I do apologise. A couple of other things as well that I've mentioned, that just kind of things that it would be nice to have in here. Because of the playtime itself, the fact that I won't get this played as much as I would like to, it is multiplayer only, and it is kind of driven by that. There is a lot of stuff that involves interaction between the players in a lot of different ways, between the worker placement itself and blocking off spaces. Even though you can go there, the cost might be too prohibitive for you and get in the way of your larger plans, but also in decisions that are made, votes that are to be done, different things that whoever bids the most money for this thing. There's auctions for certain story things. Yeah, loads of it is based on that multiplayer mechanic. I see that, and yeah, I don't want anything kind of shoehorned in, but I'm just saying, because it is it's a big 3-hour game and it's multiplayer only, it's not going to get as many plays, whereas if it was solo compatible, yeah, I could just dive in myself sometimes. I understand why it isn't though. Yeah, just adding that in. It would be nice though, in the vein of the thing I'm about to say next. Yeah, in the two-player plays particularly, generally we like shorter games. I really enjoyed My Father's Work kind of despite that, but I also like how long it is in a particular way as well. But yeah, it would be lovely if, you know, if more scenario boxes came out. I'm not saying there isn't enough in the box already, but it will be nice to have a future where, like, you know, there's all of this base game stuff and all of the particular things could be included in just more individual boxes that you could buy, or just a little box with 3 more boxes in. And it would be lovely if maybe a scenario or 2 might be solo compatible, or maybe even cooperatively compatible. That could be a massive, massive boon, especially for our tastes as well. But yeah, as I have said, or I'm about to say, I really, really like My Father's Work as it is as well. Okay, addendum over. But yeah, with the price and availability and kind of investment that you need in various ways, it's not going to be for everyone at all. But yeah, it's a game that's very clearly not trying to be a game for everyone. But I think if you are going to, like, if it checks those certain boxes for you, it is going to be a game that you absolutely adore. And in those 3 boxes, I'll say that the scenarios that I've replayed, I haven't played A Time for War yet. The 3rd box in there, but in the ones that I've replayed, the paths have been massively, massively different, and that is just because, you know, it's a few plays in, so, you know, making a certain signposted decision differently is going to send you careering down an entirely different path. As well, yeah, there's that marriage again. There are story things. There's wanting to see new things. There's wanting to make a certain story based on what you've decided your character is, or just what you want to do. But also, there are gameplay things. It will hint sometimes that, well, making this choice might do this. And you're thinking, well, that's really going to hurt my path towards my masterwork or a thing I was about to do. So no, I don't want that to happen. So yeah, there's that lovely relationship again between the story and the actual game that you are trying to play and do well in. And I think ultimately, as I said, it's not trying to be a silly thing. It's not trying to be really wacky. There is a game being played. There are, you know, these stakes in there, but that with certain events and story things, you might not want to take the actual kind of competition and scoring completely seriously. That's, yeah, the goal of, I don't know, because there is still a score. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. That, yeah, it's not the be-all and end-all, as it shouldn't be with any game. The kind of, like, stepping back sometimes and seeing the story that is being told and the effects that we kind of had in Generation 1 to Generation 3 that sometimes can really come back to bite you is a really great thing in itself. The story that is being told is kind of greater than the sum of the parts of the actual scoring game that's going on. And yeah, I haven't minded my losses in this at all. Not that I ever particularly mind, but yeah, I've generally had a really fun time trying to achieve it and trying to get all of the points there. But yeah, kind of being able to lose myself in the story more than I generally am able to do, being a boring cube pusher like I am a lot of the time. But yeah, I hope that the playthrough will give you the best idea of what the game is like, and that any of this has made sense. It comes at the end of many hours of filming said playthrough. Thank you very much for watching it though. There are loads more videos on this channel. I hope you will enjoy some more on there. I can't really think of a similar game to My Father's Work that I can recommend, like storybook game. Yeah, there's role player adventures, there's Sleeping Gods that we did a load of things for worker placement. There's like €1 million worker placement games that you can put on there, but I think that's kind of another plus for it, that yeah, there's nothing really that I can recommend very much like this. Hey, but why not play? Also by designer TC Pay, that, yeah, I should mention the designer and everything front and center, I do apologize. Xenon Profiteer, which I think I put in my like top 10 overlooked games. I would stand by that. It's a fantastic game. I would love to do a playthrough of it at some point, but I'm sure that you might find a copy. It's a deck builder, but a deck unbuilder. You need to deconstruct your decks and find the beautiful, precious Xenon, Xenon? Xenon? I can't remember. We sorted all this out at another time. Never mind about that. We're talking about My Father's Work, and I was trying to say goodbye, and now I've extended the video by like another minute. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye, everyone.